Alright, welcome back for part 2 of my mini chopper build. Kind of in part 1 I just went over a couple of things, kind of went over the bike, where I'm at this point. In this video I'm going to kind of show you more along the lines of the transmission and the primary drive that I've developed on this thing. It's a little bit different than anything else that's out there, and so I'm going to kind of go into detail and show you how this thing works. I've made a little bit of progress. Got the plate welded for the transmission, got the sprockets for the primary drive. I think I had it just kind of mocked up on the first one. So I'm going to actually show you some close-ups of this, and then we'll break it down and I'll kind of show you what else is up. I've also done a little template on the headlight, just to try to get an idea of what we're looking at as far as the headlight goes. I actually bought me some LED headlights, so we'll also look at that. Get this primary drive here. Basically what I did was I made 2 bushings, one for the crankshaft on the engine, one for the shaft on the transmission. Both bushings fit and are keyed. And then what I did is I took timing chain gears and chains off of 350 Chevrolet, so it's like a double roller timing chain is all it is, and made those fit. Just kind of pushed them on there, got them tacked just so the gears are set where I want and the spacing's right, and I'll probably go back and TIG those up. Right now, like I said, it's just sitting on there, so these things come off pretty easily. Got this one kind of tapped on here right now, so just tap it and free it up. This thing just slides off. You can see there, it's just 2 bushings that I've had made. Slide timing gears on, and then you got your chains. It's just all geared, set up. Alright, and once you really kind of break it apart and see how that works. So it's just a double roller timing chain, 2 gears on a bushing. Like I said, I'll go in there and TIG these up. Try to make them look a little bit nicer. Right now, still in the mock-up stage, and just want to make sure everything fits just right before we do any permanent welding. So as you can see, you got the crank coming out of the Briggs motor, got a little keyway in there. This one actually happened to be a stepped crankshaft, so the bushing had to be kind of made a little bit different. Most of them are straight though, and then the shaft is just a 3/4 shaft for the tranny with a collar right here that basically sets the spacing. Once I get everything mocked up and I know that I like it, I'm happy with it, I'll actually cut this shaft off right here and probably tap it to accept the bolt. The crankshaft here actually will accept the bolt in the end of it, and so I'll just get a big washer, and so slide the gear on, put the washer on, and then the bolt, and it'll be tight, and I can do the same thing with the rear, and that way that whole thing will come off. Slide this out of the way. You can kind of shave this tranny a little bit. So the rear chain just comes up right off the sprocket on the rear end, and then there's the tranny, right? It just pulls out. It's got a tranny plate right here. I'll just put 4 mounting holes in it that are probably slotted so I can move that tranny forward and backwards a little bit. This was actually a kit that I bought from a company online. It's been years ago. I've actually went back since then and looked to see if they still offer these kits. I couldn't find it. I'm sure you can find them out there somewhere though. This kit's really easy, and hopefully you guys can see that. It's basically just 2 centrifugal clutches, alright? 2 shafts, alright? And then it comes with a bearing kit and a bearing holder, and basically I just took some angle iron and made it into one unit so I could put it together as one unit and bolt it together. I think they're actually designed where they just mount, you just weld these tabs right on a go-kart or something. That's how it's made. I actually wanted it to be its own unit, kind of like a transmission, so I could take it apart and slide it out like I have, and then if I need to service it, I can. Same deal, it's got collars in here that kind of keeps the spacing on everything. The first centrifugal clutch works like your standard centrifugal clutch on any kind of moped or go-kart. It's got an inner shaft, and as it spins, it's got weights in here. Once it gets to a certain RPM, those weights will expand out and grab a hold of this outer disc, The thing that's special about this one though, it's got two gears on it. Both gears are the same size. So once it expands and grabs hold of this outer disc, it'll start to turn it. Alright, once it starts to turn this, it actually goes back here, and the initial drive chain is going to be this one here. This one's got a live sprocket here. This one goes to another centrifugal clutch that has weights on the inside here. Alright, so your initial drive gear is going to be this one. So there's actually going to be a lower ratio since the front gear is smaller than the back gear. This is locked in and then drives this shaft, which comes out here and will drive this gear to the rear tire. Alright, as this thing speeds up and spins faster and faster and faster, these weights in this back centrifugal clutch, I don't know if you can see those, these weights in this back one will actually expand, and once it does, it'll grab hold of this outer disc, which is permanently locked to this this shaft. This gear is not permanently locked to this shaft, so this gear will basically has the ability to spin backwards. You see how I can spin that shaft and that gear won't move, but if I spin that gear, that shaft has no choice but to move. It's almost geared kind of like a ratchet. So one way it's free, the other way it locks, and you'll actually turn this shaft. So as it's spinning this way, it'll turn the shaft, but once the shaft begins to spin faster than the gear, it'll actually allow it to basically backspin. So once these weights expand, they grab hold of this outer shaft, which is connected to this shaft permanently. Once it does that, this inner ratio will actually take over, and this gear will then be spinning slower than this shaft. And I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but in theory, when you look at it, it's actually really simple. The end result basically is you have a 2-speed automatic transmission. So initially you're running this gear. Once the RPMs get up, then these weights will expand and grab hold of this outer drum, which will spin the shaft and lock up another gear. Once you slow back down and these weights come back in, then it'll downshift back to the first gear. And then, like any other regular centrifugal clutch, once you stop, it'll just idle. Alright? Anyway, I hope that kind of cleared up a little bit on the training. I know it's kind of confusing the way that thing works. It's not really that complicated. It's just really hard for me to explain, I guess is the best way to put it. It's gonna be a really cool setup once it's done. There's your look. I'm actually excited to get those gears on this thing finally. Hopefully the next video I'll have some of that stuff cut and mounted and kind of show you it in the works. I wanted to show you too, I basically mocked up a piece of cardboard for the headlight. Just trying to get the look right, and you can see from the last video that it actually looks more like a sleek looking chopper, and it looks finished kind of with that headlight in there. Before, with it missing, it just didn't look right. So now we got the complete look going on with the headlight. I bought some LEDs. I'm going to try to do something a little custom and cheap, I guess, too, with an LED front headlight, and I'll fabricate some housing for that thing. So subscribe so you can see the rest of the videos for this build. It's going to be great. We're getting close to the end here, and then we're going to, I got some other projects I want to work on. Go to the Fab Forums, thefabforums.com. This build is on there. You can ask questions, post comments. I've also got a buyer's resource page on there where I've listed the places where I bought all the stuff to build this. All the brakes, the gears, the clutches, all the go-kart components, everything but the steel fabrication. I've listed those places on there. If you can't find them, hit me up, and I will walk you through that. We also I've been getting a lot of hits on the Fab Forums Facebook page, so just go on Facebook, search the Fab Forums. You can like us, and then we just have people all the time posting fabrication type stuff on our Fab Forums page, and so you'll get those feeds, and there's some pretty cool stuff that comes across there, so check that out. Trying to think, I'll make sure I'm not forgetting nothing. If you hadn't seen the first video, go back and check it out. You can see the first video I kind of run through the whole bike. Check that out, and like I said, subscribe so you can get the next build.